Hey guys, this is Jack. Sorry this is a day late. I've been pretty busy this weekend. I'm getting ready for BentCon. I worked a bit, and I've also been working on some projects, getting stuff ready. And I had a film project that I was supposed to be submitting, but things happened, and that didn't happen, and I was really stressed about that all week, so that kind of took away my time. And it also led me to this week's topic that I chose, which is stress. Um, what are some of the stressors in my life? The stressors in my life right now are mainly school. I'm trying to graduate this semester. I'm taking 5 upper division courses, one of which is an independent study project, which is taking the form of the Gender Center project and all the stuff related to it I'm doing. What else? I guess my activism work is a little bit stressful for me in that sometimes I feel really overwhelmed. Like there's so much going wrong in the world. I get really, really concerned that maybe I won't even be able to make a difference, or that like it won't be big enough, or that the world is so screwed up that I won't that like basically I just feel like I'm trapped and I have nothing to do because the world is so screwed up sometimes. So my activism does stress me out sometimes, I guess, and so I have to look at things smaller scale and just say what can I do as a person, and then I can kind of get over that stress pretty easily. It's just kind of more when I feel overwhelmed when I see like specific transphobic stuff or hear transphobic stuff, which is relates me to another or links me to another stressor in my life. Well, my mom is very, very supportive of my transition. She's great. She's trying her best. I still have been having to teach her some new concepts, like gender is not 100% a social construct. It has biological implications as well. And my dad is not supportive of my transition at all. He wants me to have grandchildren for him, and that's never gonna happen, ever, never. um, so, blah, blah, blah. He stresses me out also in that he always threatens me with things that I need. Like, for example, I bet if he was, I haven't told him that I'm getting a surgery date, um, because I'm afraid that he would start threatening to kick me off his insurance to get me to do what he wants. He's, he stresses me out a lot because he goes back on things he said. He told he got the LGBT vote. He's a local politician from the community this year by telling them that I was a lesbian when I specifically told him to tell them I was trans too, because at that time I was identifying as genderqueer, which of course he didn't. He's my dad's kind of transphobic, so I don't really know how to deal with that. I mean, that stresses me out a lot because whenever I don't really like spending time around him. And related to my transition, the other thing I guess I'm stressed about is I'm afraid. I mean, I'm a little bit stressed about surgery, not how it will look, not that it will be botched or failed, but that I've seen a couple guys personally go from being really helpful and supportive pre-op to being kind of like not so good, friendly people after it. And I'm kind of afraid that that'll happen to me too. I mean, obviously, it's what you put in, you'll get out of it. So if I go in wanting to be the same person I am before, it'll just be me less chest afterwards. So more confident, I guess. So that's how I kind of am trying to look at it so it doesn't stress me out too much. How do you handle them and stress in general? In my life, tattoos and BDSM are my own personal form of therapy. If you want to know more about that, ask me, because that's not super, I don't know, age appropriate for everyone. But and not everyone can get tattoos either. um, other than that, I mean, I do a lot of talking with therapists, even though I've spent most of my life with some sort of therapist because my parents are kind of overprotective. Um, I feel like because I choose to go into this therapist, it's very helpful for me. She's a gender therapist. So because I know how to handle most of the other stuff in my life, it's on me to do schoolwork, it's on me to do projects, on me to do my activism. But she knows more specific things about like trans related issues in general, like how to handle certain types of dysphoria, like just a little bit of how to connect with medical people, what to say to professionals, what to do if I have legal issues a little bit, and it's all more trans related, so I can kind of let her handle that area of my life. So I'm a little bit less stressed about it. It's just like one less thing to worry about. Um, having my having my friends around me also really really helps me, especially in the Transcend group. On Saturdays, I run at the North County LGBT Center in San Diego. it's just a place where I can hang out with other trans people and not have to worry about my identity, but still know, or my gender identity, but still know that it's going to be respected. I feel sometimes like when I'm around a bunch of people who I don't necessarily know are supportive or who none of them really have any experience with trans people, I kind of feel sort of, I guess, inside that I sort of have to protect my identity and make sure that everyone knows that people do that I'm not being, or just make sure that I'm not being misgendered, I guess. Whereas with when around other people I feel who are trans or trans educated, I feel much less like I have to sort of assert that I am who I am as gender or as a as an FTM transgender. What else? Another thing that really helps me is to force myself to take breaks. Days when I have a ton of homework, I will literally tell myself, or days when I have a ton of homework, and then I like have a day after that when I don't have a bunch, when I'm pretty free. I force myself to relax on those days. I'll make myself watch a movie I've been meaning to, play a game, read a book, and I'll literally take everything else out of like the area so I can't do homework because I get too stressed out when I do all of it at once. My work quality suffers as well. So if I can make sure that I'm not super stressed all the time, I actually end up, and even when I force myself to do things, they're still enjoyable because it's something I want to do. The only thing that stresses me out about it is like the homework component. So I end up getting relaxed, and that benefits my work as well. Um, Balancing my transition with my life is kind of, I guess, unique for me in that my transition is directly related to my career and my schoolwork. Um, I'm doing independent study on trans activism, and I also wish to open a gender center as a career and be a career trans activist when I graduate this fall as well. Um, so anything I really do for my transition, I also kind of am using somewhat to help other people that I help via my activism work. Like for example, I'm currently working on a legal ease to English translation guide for people to use on the in conjunction with the director's letter that came out in California this year, so that they can try to figure out better what insurances they should go for, what they can get from their insurance, what won't be covered, what will be covered, but so that I don't have to like try to in like individually evaluate each person's policy. It can kind of just be a general guide people can use on their own. So my activism work is directly related to my transition. So I guess that I don't really have to have a separation. I just suppose that one of the things I do to sort of balance it is I don't spend all my time completely focusing on my own transition. I like helping other people and looking at my transition, or not my transition. I try to look at being trans as a community, not as my individual problem. You know, like how do I put this? I I I still I'll focus that on and I'll learn about transition related things, but I won't focus on them for me. I'll just focus on them as something that I enjoy learning about. I don't think of them personally. I don't think like I could read an article about like um, phalloplasties, for example. But while I was reading it, I would probably be thinking about it more as a concept, even though part of me would be thinking about it for myself as well. But it's things that are bigger than me. When I can kind of see myself as part of a bigger community, then it really helps me feel less alone. And it also helps me feel like my transition is much less like difficult because I have other people to rely on. And I guess that's really all I have for this week. Sorry this was late. I have some horror movie stuff I'm kind of juggling right now. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to send me a message.